Absolutely amazing to be here with everyone this evening from wherever you are joining. I'm in South Africa and it is just gone past 9 p.m. And yeah, just very excited to be at the Nigerian Summit and sharing this space with all the amazing speakers that have already shared their stories and those that will come here after. So, welcome. And just a little bit about myself. As Dr. Tina has already mentioned, I am a clarity and transformation coach, and I am also the founder of an accredited training institution in South Africa. We work globally. We have the support and support organizations and individuals through various leadership training, awareness seminars and workshops and retreats, as well as through coaching and mentoring interventions. We support our clients on a journey to transformation with organizational strengthening, capacity building, and streaming processes by understanding really where they come from, their methodologies, their cultures, and as I said, who they are. Our base is always working from relationships and connections and understanding how humans and what makes us human. So we observe our mindsets, our thinking, how we talk, the language we use, the language we don't use, what we say, what we don't say, and more specifically, our behaviors. That ultimately determines how we create who we are and create change behavior and impactful behavior. So, why am I here this evening in South Africa and speaking to you on a global stage? Besides an entrepreneur and woman in business, I am also a mother, a wife, and an amazing supporter of women. I'm very passionate in supporting and giving women their agency and their voices back. So how do I do this? What is it that I talk about when I say our buried agency? I believe many great things happen from within, and we need to understand who we are and what our purpose is. Why are we here? Why do we do the things that we do? So the question that I need us to ask ourselves is, why then, as women and as men, but more specifically as women, why do we play small? What is it that prevents us from stepping into who we are meant to be? I am reminded of a quote that perfectly describes our buried agency. And that quote is by James Allen, and he says, "People are anxious to improve their circumstances, but unwilling to improve themselves. They therefore remain bound." So if we remain bound, what does that mean? It means that we are fearful, we are afraid, we don't want to step into who we actually are. But more specifically, we have to remember and rediscover our voices and our forgotten or hidden voices, because we've allowed ourselves not to be heard anymore. There was a time when I felt exactly the same way and was in exactly the same place you are right now, not knowing how to step up, to embrace the unknown, and more specifically to lean into fear. And one of the two choices that we have is, when we look at what fear actually means, we can forget everything and run, which I know we've done that in the past, or we can make the second choice. And the second choice is face everything and rise. Really lean into and embrace that fear that sometimes paralyzes us into not moving or not taking action. We have buried our agency by not using our voices, as I've mentioned, remaining silent when in actual fact we are screaming on the inside to share our thoughts, share our ideas, share our wants and our needs, wanting and needing, but the fear of change, of moving out of our comfort zone, keeps us rooted to where we are. That inner voice that we hear but suppress, that silently utters what we actually want to say, but we're too afraid to actually speak it or to voice it. And that's how we learn to suppress our purpose, who we are, that person that's hidden underneath all the layers, that we've hidden behind. We feel we have no agency of our lives. We exist, but we don't actually live. We exist from one motion to the next. Things are happening around us, but we aren't fully present. And I know many of you can relate, and a lot of what I'm saying resonates with you. I want to tell you, we are the authors of our lives. We are the authors of our actions, of our destiny, of our free will, and our free choices. We can take our agency back. We enable others to decide for us and decide what is best for us. We give them our power. So why are we giving our power away? It all starts with taking one small step. And as I go through, I'm going to ask you questions. I'm going to pose things and I'd like you to respond or answer silently. And I'm going to share some tips with you. So I'm sure you're taking notes. And as I pose the questions, please feel free to answer them, whether it's silently or on that piece of paper that you're making notes on. So I want you, as you take the small step, make this decision and ask yourself this. Do you see you? Do you really see you? I wonder. And I want us to do this. I want us to remove, for the woman out there that's listening, remove the makeup. Remove the titles that we wear. Remove the personas that we've adopted to survive, the characteristics that we've taken on in the past. And look at what's left. Remove those masks that we so readily pick up and put on when we wake up in the morning, and then late at night when we laying down to rest, we then say, okay, I've taken off the masks. Now I want to ask you again. Do you actually see you? And do you truly see that person that stares back at you? And do you love this person? Because so many of us don't. We love everyone around us. But one thing we don't do is we don't share and show that same compassion and love towards ourselves. We have a tendency to suppress, to procrastinate, to say, I'll do it tomorrow or next week, or I'm not ready. We bury who we are, especially to please others. We obsess over details and we want to control everything in terms of the process and what needs to happen, how it needs to happen, and we overthink. We doubt our own abilities and we undervalue who we are. I know who you are. I know who I am. And I know exactly how I'm feeling and how you're feeling and the frustrations and the feeling of something needing to happen, but not really knowing how, not really knowing how to move on, how to let that person out, let you out. So the question I ask you, have you ever wanted to change? Have you ever wanted to take your power and your agency back? And I'm sure you can say yes. I'm sure a powerful and adamant yes comes to mind. So I'm going to give and share some tips in terms of how you can take your power back. And you can start right now or you can start straight after our session. But start and take a few minutes free from distractions, free from anybody, find a quiet spot and do that part of introspection and self-reflection that I'm going to take you through now. It starts with acknowledging that inner voice and that inner desire first. That's where you have to recognize it, you have to see it, you have to acknowledge it. Accepting that it is a process, that I have to do the work. I have to do the work. I can't give it over to somebody else. I can't delegate it. It starts with me. There is no quick fixes. There's no shortcuts in terms of how to do this work and to get to the end. It is a process, but I promise you that there is an amazing freedom that comes with it once you've worked through this process. And thirdly, it's all about taking action, being willing to do the work, taking time. And it doesn't have to take hours, a day, 5 minutes, a day is all it takes. So acknowledge that you have that inner voice. Accept that there is a process and that change takes time, and do the work, small steps. You have the capacity to influence your life, to influence your thoughts and your behavior. And you have the power and the ability to direct your future. So take your agency back. Do the inner work with these 3 questions. And here I want you to really think about them, take the time, find your quiet spot or space, free from distractions, as I mentioned, and ask yourself, who am I? Once you've started doing that self-reflection and inner work, you will become more aware and self-accepting of who you are. And secondly, who did I have to be? Who were you in that self-reflection process? What decisions did you need to take? What things did you do because you had to, not because you had a choice or because you felt you didn't have a choice? And thirdly, who do I want to be? I, in that decision and in that self-reflection and thinking and visualizing of who I want to be, you have a choice of self-responding. And what does that mean? It means that I don't react. I choose how I respond to my environment, to the questions, to what it is that I want to do and what it is that I do not want to do. So again, it's about my power, my agency, my voice, and allowing my inner voice the freedom to speak. So I've asked you lots of questions already, but most importantly, the one question that I want to ask you is, have you decided? Have you decided to take your power back? To take that agency back and to not suppress it? Have you decided to move forward, to take the necessary actions? And I'm sure you did. I'm sure many of you are saying, yes, this is what I want. I'm ready. I'm ready to move forward into the new me, into who I am meant to be. So I want to leave you as one of before my final thoughts, but I want to leave you with a foundation for this next amazing chapter of your journey in rediscovering your agency and taking your power back. Remember, we are enabling people to do what they did in the past. So I'm taking my agency back. So here is the foundation. That awareness and that self-reflection that you've done, you have to start walking in faith. That is the only way to live. You have to be ready to trust in the process. You don't have to always know how it ends. You don't have to know how I'm going to achieve it, how I'm going to accomplish it. You just have to trust in the next step that you take. And believe that everything, because you're walking in faith, everything will happen the way it's meant to happen. And you will move forward with this new profound knowledge of who you are. And lastly, when you move with intentionality and flow, being fluid in the decisions that you take, in the mistakes that you make, and there will be mistakes. But know that you're doing it with the full knowledge of who you are and the full acceptance of who you are. So my final thought to you out there, and before I thank you for joining us this evening, well, this evening from South Africa, it might be morning where you are joining us from. I am because we are. I want to leave you with that African philosophy of Ubuntu. So together, we are able to change and we are able to support each other. So Dr. Tina, I don't know if you have any questions, if you have any comments for those that are listening in. And yeah, I'm just very excited to have shared a little journey of our buried agency and finding out how to uncover that voice that we hide so often as women.
I am taking my agency back. Glad you shared that. I love Ubuntu. I am because we are. I love that. There's a gentleman by the name of George Fraser. I want you to look him up. Yolandi, he uses that term a lot, and I am going to have a summit with him. He is unbelievable. His name is George Fraser, and Fraser is
Yes.
Fraser. Woo, he's powerful. And so, man, our agency, mm, I
Yeah.
see why you are who you are, like a clarity coach. We all need clarity. We need to know exactly where we're going, how to get there, what to do. But you're right. We need to just take the first step, right? They say faith is taking the first step, even when you can't see the entire staircase. Just take the first step. And then the first step, right? Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things that are not seen. And so I love
100%.
that. Wow. So Yolandi, I have a
Read.
question for you.
Yes. Go ahead, Dr. Tina.
Okay, so this is about literally, right? It's about tech, finance, future, and female. So taking back your agency, if you had to describe that in just 3 words, what would that look like? What is taking back your agency in 3 words?
It's speak in 3 words. So speaking up, sharing your thoughts, and
Wow.
when you in the so if we're talking about tech or finance, it's actually saying this is what I want to do. It's not playing small. It's sharing what your thoughts are. And really, as females, what we do, we sit at tables and we don't share. We don't share our
Wow.
knowledge, we don't share who we are, we don't we tend to sit quietly in the corner and hope that somebody sees me, and hopes that somebody acknowledges the knowledge that I have, the power that I actually have within me. And we can't do that. We can't wait for somebody else to see us. We need to step up. So it is about stepping up, sharing your voice, being who you are, and stand out. 100%, Alexis. That's exactly what it is. We have to stand up. We have to step forward. We have to lean into that fear. And believe me, I know what fear means. I know what fear feels like. I know how it paralyzes us when we're in a space, in a room where we feel we undervalue our contributions and what we can give. So,
That's awesome.
fear should be something that we actually embrace. When we feel it, we're like,
I
okay, I acknowledge you, I acknowledge you, and I can move forward. And that's all it needs. It just
Yes,
needs to be acknowledged.
yes. You know what, Yolandi, I thank you so much for that clarity because for me, I operate at one of my highest potentials when I am angry, when I am like it's totally the opposite. Like we did a survey and we said what drives you? Was it anger, passion, or I forgot the third option. Anger, passion, or hope. Anger, passion, or hope. The majority of people said passion, but a lot of people said anger. So if someone
Mm,
tells you that you can't do something, then that's when you get angry and you do what you
yes.
need to get done. If your teacher
Mm,
says, I remember in medical school, they told I missed an exam and they said the highest grade you can get is a C. I'm like, oh my gosh, they don't do makeup. I'm like a C. That's not fair because if I could only get a C, then it's not. They said, well, you shouldn't have missed the exam. There was no valid reason. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to get the top C on that particular. But because I was angry and I was limited in what I could achieve when I know I could do better. Not only did I get a C on that test, but I never ever missed an exam again. And all of my exams, the majority of my exams, I would say the majority were all A's, maybe a few B's here and there. But because that was driven by anger, like I'm going to show them. And everyone operates differently. But
mm,
Yolandi, about agency, about bringing clarity, you did exactly that. You brought clarity home. And for that, my sister, and especially adding in Ubuntu. Yes, I am because we are a collective. And that's what Global Women Speakers is all about. Our 5 core values. Number 1 is charity. Number 2 is culture. Number 3, community. Number 4, communication. And number 5 is collaboration. And we're collaborating with women around the globe to put them on stages around the world, have them share their message, sell their products and their services, and travel the world. We are not a tree. It is time to go. And we understand life happens. We understand you have a family. We understand that there's certain circumstances that want to allow you to just pick up and go. And so that's why we bring to you the virtual version of all of our conferences. So, Yolandi, I'm excited about what we have going on behind the scenes. We're not going to announce it yet, but I can't wait until
Yep.
we do. I cannot wait until we do. So I love you,
Yeah.
sister. I appreciate you. And you're absolutely correct. Ubuntu. I am because you are. And I thank you for being you.
Thank you, Dr. Tina, and thank you for everyone that's joined us for this session. Absolutely agree. We support each other. We lift each
Yes.
other. We rise together.